The third sentence is this: which system you had adjusted and changed again. The speaker indicates the subject of the transitive verb changed in the main clause with the subordinate clause which system you had adjusted in the subordinate clause which system you had adjusted in. The phrase of the subordinating conjunction which system indicates the object of the preposition in. To receive the definition of the preposition in from the listeners as the subject of the preposition in. Of the subject stated in the past perfect tense with the intransitive verb had and the past participle adjusted that has the trait as an adverb. The listeners as the subject of the experience during a period from the far point in the past to the close point in the past is described with the intransitive verb had. Then we can understand that the period is not clearly stated as the object of the verb had because the time and the time and place are considered the premise of the existence of the subject. But the listeners are aware the premise that the time for the listeners to have the experience, we can understand that the one who creates the flow of time, we retain the experience that lasted during a period. The subject, the listeners, and the period are on interaction during the period. As we check the clock to see what time it is, and we respond to the specific point in time. This is how we interact with the time. In this way, we can understand the subject or the object in the relationship with the period that the experience lasted. During the period, the listeners responded in a way to adjust more than once during the period. We can understand that the way of the subject to respond the period is stated in the past participle to describe the end of the relationship. The subject, the listeners, the period of time for the experience. As the noun system is described by the determiner which, the listeners can understand that the object indicated by the noun system is included in the predetermined range set by the speaker before the speaker states the sentence. As The determiner which is applied in the declarative statement. The listeners can understand that the speaker does not have the interrogative intention with the description by the determiner which. The speaker intends to indicate a part of the object indicated by the general noun. The range of the object indicated by the general noun system is comparable like this. This range is the entire object indicated by the general noun system in this world. And the speaker predetermines a part of the system, like this. A part of the object in the predetermined range is specified from the description in the subordinate clause you had adjusted in. This sentence, which system you had adjusted in, changed again, is integrated from the two clauses. The first conference to be the subordinate clause is this. Which system had you adjusted in? The parenthesis, the period that the experience of the subject. The second conference to be the main clause is this. The system changed again. The speaker leaves the interrogative clause transformed into the declarative clause to the main clause as the subordinate clause because the object of the preposition in indicated by the phrase of the noun which system corresponds with the subject of the intransitive verb changed indicated by the phrase of the noun the system. The speaker links the two clauses from the accordance between the phrase of the relative noun which system and the phrase of the noun the system. The speaker transforms the interrogative clause into the declarative clause so that the declarative is applied as the subordinate clause linked to the main clause. The speaker replaces the subject of the intransitive verb changed into the subordinate clause, which system you had adjusted in. The listeners can understand the clause starts with the phrase of the relative noun which system is stated in the declarative clause because of the arrangement of the subject you and the intransitive verb had is inverted. Thank you for watching.